The Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team traveled to Princeton to take on the Tigers in the ECAC quarterfinals. How did they fare? The men's ice hockey team hosted rival Yale and a struggling Brown Bears team. Were they able to get the 4 points they desperately needed? All that and more on the Neutral Zone. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Neutral Zone. I'm Matt McAuliffe. Alongside of me, I have Kirby Paulson. Kirby, welcome.
Thanks, Matt. Great to be here.
So, Kirby, ECAC quarterfinals, game one. This game, headed into the third period, looked to be over as Princeton had a commanding 2-0 lead, but Quinnipiac responded with two unanswered goals of their own. Two overtimes were not enough to find a winner to this game, so it went to a triple overtime, and this triple overtime thriller had a game winner from Kate McKenzie. So, Kirby, game one, thoughts?
I mean, I think it just proved that this team was able to perform without someone like TT Cianfrano, who's really an offensive catalyst. But they also showed that defensive grit that they need to show. So many shots on net and having the conditioning, just for Jess Patel, a perfect example of a really good conditioning coach. Some of that stuff really ends up making a difference in these big games. I mean, I covered a big triple overtime Hockey East game last year and saw how that one played out. It's those better conditioned teams and those really focused defensive mindsets that end up making a difference in matchups like that.
Now, Kirby, what else did you see? This Quinnipiac women's team had a no-quit attitude throughout the entire season. Did you see that from game one?
Oh, absolutely. And I think what you saw from game one and through the rest of the series, and we'll get into that a little bit more, is just a complete willingness to go out and battle. They were having some troubles getting pucks through the back of the net. It hasn't been a crazy offensive season, but at the same time, they were able to stay with that defensive and gritty mindset.
Now, Kirby, game two was a back-and-forth battle, and history seemed like it would repeat itself as Princeton once again took a 2-0 lead headed into the third period. But this time, Princeton was able to hang on to the lead and tied the series 1-1. Now, Kirby, after a triple overtime win, you'd think momentum would be on the Bobcats' side. What happened in game two?
Well, I'll tell you something. And I don't want to speak for the players, but there was definitely a little bit of times where I thought both teams were skating a little sluggish. That has a lot to do with the night before. But let's also point out, and you remember this because I went a little bit of Coach Curb style on you and Phil Acree, the other beat reporter in Princeton. I started noticing that there was a whole lot of shots coming from the outside. Now, we didn't see the specific shot sheets at points, but at the same time, it seemed like Princeton had a willingness to get in front of those shots. Again, it was a battle, but they had problems getting pucks to find the twine behind and past the crease, and not for nothing, but Steph Neatby had a great performance.
And the deciding game three, I have a highlight for you now. Let's jump right into the action from that decisive game at Hobey Baker Rink. 5 seed Quinnipiac, 4 seed Princeton. Series was tied 1-1. Let's get into the first period. And Princeton was the first to strike as it's Molly Contini off the rebound. Gives her Tigers a commanding 1-0 lead in the first period.
Good position for that goal right there, Matt.
And once again, history repeating itself. Princeton, 2-0 lead now. This one was a wrist shot by Sylvie Wallen, deflected off a Quinnipiac stick, 2-0. Another Princeton 2-0 lead. And the second period now, Princeton just was locked down on defense. Blocked shot after blocked shot. Woods' wrist shot blocked there. And it was still 2-0. But Sid Brossman says, I'm going to show a little defense myself. Shoulder save there. Keeping her team in the game.
Definitely defensive battle on both sides.
Third period now. A no-quit attitude from this Bobcats team as Turner deflects one in, cuts the lead in half with just 13 seconds left in the game. But it was too little too late for the Bobcats as Princeton held on to win 2-1. Quinnipiac season is over, but Princeton will head to Clarkson in a semifinal round. Now, Kirby, the band, TT Cianfrano, Melissa Samoskevich, and Emma Woods, where were they this season?
Well, this season, I mean, I think you kind of take it a little farther. They had a lot of scoring up and down the ranks, whether it be Kate McKenzie, Taryn Baumgart showing up on the score sheet quite a bit, but players like the Randy Marcon line. I mean, yeah, TC Cianfrano scoring getting 52 points last season and getting 26 now. That's a big jump. I think the expectations on people like Melissa Samoskevich were a little high. I mean, she had 32 points last season. This season, what are you expecting? You almost expect a sophomore slump, which I don't necessarily think she had. Emma Woods, again, with the down year, but I think at the same time, they had the talent to go out there and score goals, and they had the pieces to replace some of that goal scoring that they lost with the Nicole Cubed line heading out.
Now let's switch the focus to the seniors. What is the impact of this graduating class? What legacy do they leave?
I mean, 99 to 100 wins, somewhere around that number. 2 NCAA tournament berths, 1 ECAC championship. I mean, that's an incredible legacy to leave behind, but you're not just losing a scoring touch and a fantastic goalie in Sydney Rossman. You're also losing a group that had a whole lot of leadership as well, with Emma Woods, Mika Nervik off the ice. Again, she's up for the Hockey Humanitarian Award, and Megan Turner. And then the impact of people like Taryn Baumgartner, Emma Greco. They might not always be talked about, but they were so important for this defensive core this season.
Now, Kirby, I'm going to jump the gun here. We're going to do a way too early prediction. I want you to tell me, where does this team finish in the ECAC at the end of next season?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to drop a prediction yet. I don't have recruiting sheets in front of me. We have nothing finalized. I'm not going to drop a prediction this early. We just finished the season the other day. There is no way that I am actually going to sit here and try to make a prediction when we have absolutely no idea how things are going to play out. They're losing 17 years. We have no idea who's coming in, and we just can't account for anything that's going to happen between now and September. So I'm not going to do that, and you are more than welcome to do that if you'd like to.
Kirby, I appreciate it. I respect that call and not giving a prediction. And thank you very much for joining
Always a
me.
blast, buddy.
Coming up next, we have Kyle Lavasser, a men's ice hockey beat reporter, who will discuss the Yale and Brown weekend for the men's ice hockey team. Stay with us.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown. Welcome into Studio 125.
So what? So what?
If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac Intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say, yes, there is a controversy.
Line, getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monument player.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Ball played up the middle. Iman Whalen with a little cheat off the puck. Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ, it is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away.
But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman, Mika Maples.
Thanks for staying with us. We had a line change as Kirby Paulson was subbed out and Kyle Lavasser, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Matt.
And Kyle, a big weekend. Men's ice hockey needed 4 points. They had rival Yale and Brown. So I want to kind of jump into the rivalry game there versus Yale. What were your thoughts? What was the atmosphere like? Was it electric? How was the game?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they needed 4 points. They did their end of the bargain. They also needed St. Lawrence to get swept this weekend if they wanted a first-round bye. That ended up not happening, so Quinnipiac ended up finishing 5th in the ECAC, and they'll face Brown this upcoming weekend in a 3-game set. We're talking about the Yale game. I mean, it's just the epitome of school spirit. It's the biggest game of the year. The student body, they spend hours before the game getting ready. I wake up to texts from my friends saying people are already lined up, before noon for a 7 o'clock game. The line just goes out the road. It's ridiculous. It's the best game of the year.
It was crazy indeed. So let's jump right into that action for the Yale game. It is the Heroes Hat Classic between Quinnipiac and Yale, Battle of Whitney Ave. President John Leahy, you know if he's watching over the game. It's a big one.
Did you have a certain message
and it was
that
exciting
you
indeed. Let's see what
wanted
he
to
had to
tell
say.
the team before the game?
Beat Yale. Pretty simple, right?
Beat Yale indeed, Mr. Leahy.
Some good advice.
A loud crowd, an electric crowd. Let's jump into the action. First period, it's Thomas Aldworth. Brings it into the zone, shot on net, but it's going to be Bo Pieper who finishes it. Gives his team a 1-0 lead and gets the crowd loud. It was an early goal. And in the first period still, Clifton showing that he does not back down from a challenge.
This is his last game of the Battle of Whitney Ave. He definitely wants this one, Matt.
The second goal now, it would look to be Smith who finished it.
Landon Smith.
Giving his Bobcats a 2-0 lead. It was 3-0 at the end of one. It was Shortridge there who lets one by from Yale. Very tough thing to save off the rebound there. Nothing he could do. It's a 3-1 score now. It was Shortridge shutting the door there on that shot, and he shut the door for the rest of the game, Kyle, as the Bobcats went on to win 3-2, and win the 15th annual Heroes Hat Classic. And what a game it was! What an atmosphere, Kyle.
Plus, that's their 10th game in a row now since the national championship that Quinnipiac has not lost to Yale.
It was a crazy game indeed. And then they had Brown the next day after an exciting 3-2 win against Yale. The Bobcats hosted the Brown Bears, where they took care of business. Quinnipiac was able to get a 4-1 win over Brown with 4 different scorers, including an impressive dangle and score from Nick Germain, and cruise past a struggling Brown Bears team. Kyle, take me through the Brown game now.
I mean, the game itself didn't have any standing implications. I mean, win or lose, the two teams are going to play each other this upcoming weekend. But I think it's important that they saw each other firsthand going into this weekend to get a live scouting report. Yeah, at this level, you have countless amounts of footage of them playing other teams. There's really nothing like getting on the ice and seeing them. I think it also gives them a bit of a confidence boost that they swept Brown going into this upcoming series.
So let's head to the playoff bracket, where it all matters, where you work for during the regular season. Playoffs is what you look forward to. Let's check out the bracket. Quinnipiac takes on Brown as the 5 seed against the 12 seed. Yale will take on Dartmouth, 8 seed versus 9 seed. Clarkson versus RPI, 6 seed, 11 seed, and Princeton versus Colgate, 7-10. That should be a good one, Kyle.
Yeah, and what you don't see on the screen, Matt, are the top 4 teams in the ECAC in Union, Harvard, St. Lawrence, and Cornell. And those are some really top teams in the country, especially in Union and Harvard, that if Quinnipiac wants to advance to Lake Placid, they're going to have to get through.
Indeed. Now, Kyle, yourself and MJ Baird had a very interesting way of picking their winners as they made a puck segment prediction.
All right, Matt, thank you. Me and Kyle here, yeah, we've moved some tables around in the suite. We've made some extra room. We're getting ready to shoot some pucks, but Kyle, a little bit different than just taking some practice shots.
Yeah, absolutely, and everyone better clear out of the way. I don't want to hit anyone.
All right, Kyle, so what we're going to do today, we have the 4 first-round matchups, pucks on the ground for you. Kyle's going to shoot the puck of the team that he thinks is going to win the matchup into the net, as if they were moving on to the next round.
Right, and let's get things started with the 5 and 12 team. We saw it this past weekend where Quinnipiac played Brown at home. They ended up winning 4-1. I think this is going to be a little more interesting than a lot of people think because Quinnipiac has a lot of injuries right now, especially with their defense. Derek Smith and Kevin McKernan both didn't play this weekend, so that's a little concerning. But we're also talking about Brown, the number 12 team. I think Quinnipiac is going to get it done. They swept them in the regular season. And I think Rand Pegnal, come playoff time, knows how to get it done. So Quinnipiac, we're sending you on to the next round. Brown can get out of here. Season is over.
Kyle, let's move on to the next matchup, the 6-11, Clarkson and RPI. Tell me what you got.
Yeah, a lot of people, MJ, talk about Clarkson being this really tough place to play at going up into upstate New York.
Yeah.
But interesting enough, they have a better away record than they do a home record. But when you also look at them, Clarkson has one of the best young goalies around in Jake Kelly. He's been great in the ECAC this year. RPI, I just don't think they have enough on offense to really get it done. Riley Bourbonnais is their top weapon, but I think Clarkson just gets a way to get it done, and they're going to move on to the quarterfinals.
RPI, out. Season over.
Yes.
All right, Kyle, our next matchup is the 7-10, Princeton and Colgate, and I think this is one of the better matchups in the first round. What do you think?
Absolutely, MJ, and I think home ice advantage plays a lot to do with this. Princeton has a great home record, 8-4-2. Yeah. Colgate, on the other hand, they only have 2 road wins this entire year. If they only have 2 wins on the road the entire regular season, I don't think they get 2 in one weekend. A tough place to play at. Princeton is riding hot, especially with Colton Finney, the reigning ECAC goaltender of the week. So Princeton, I have you moving on.
Colgate.
Adios, Colgate.
Adios, Colgate. All right, Kyle, we have our 8-9 matchup now. 2 of the teams that are closest in standings in the ECAC. Yale hosting Dartmouth.
Yeah, this is a pretty close matchup, MJ. I mean, Yale, when you look at them, they're riding a cold streak right now, and a lot of the times it's who's the hottest team that's going to move on come playoff time. They're 1-6-1 in their last 8 games. But you want to know who that one win was against, MJ?
Who was it against, Kyle?
Dartmouth.
Oh.
They have had Dartmouth's number this year, outscoring them 11-0 in 2 games, and I think Yale's going to get it done. So they're moving on to the next round, and Dartmouth's season will finish.
All right, Kyle, so the 4 teams with their pucks in the net you have moving on to face the top 4 teams in the conference, who, of course, get that first round bye.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch, MJ.
The other 4 teams will be out season over, according to Kyle. Matt, that is all we have from the makeshift studio. Back to you at the desk.
Kyle, I respect the picks, my friend, but that shot form must be improved, I must say.
Hey, you know what? I think I had it coming after giving you a hard time on Sports Pause about going 0 for 11 from the free throw line at one of the basketball halftime shows. So I understand. I'm no Connor Clifton. I got to work on my shot.
So,
But
Kyle, is this team hitting their stride heading into the playoffs?
absolutely. I mean, they're 3-0 in their last 3 games. And look at the screen right there, 5-2 in their last 7 games. But on the other side, they're just not healthy right now. I mentioned it in the puck segment that MJ and I did, but Derek Smith and Kevin McKernan are 2 of their key pieces on defense, and neither of them were there. They're veteran leaders, with Connor Clifton being one of the captains and a senior. And then Kevin McKernan leads the team in plus-minus with a +10. So those are big losses.
Now, Kyle, unfortunately, that's just about all the hockey talk that we have for you today. Make sure to follow Q30 Sports on Twitter and check out our website at www.q30television.com. And for all things playoff hockey, also look out for plenty of men's ice hockey content coming from the beat reporters Kyle Lavasser and MJ Baird. Kyle, once again, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Thank you for everybody behind the scenes as well. And on the desk, I'm Matt McAuliffe. Good night, everybody.